And tonight in Your America, a seemingly innocent conference call is now raising major questions about how far the Obama administration is willing to go in order to push its agenda. Now, the call was put together in August, allegedly by Michael Skolnick, who serves as the political director for music producer Russell Simmons. Now, the gathering was supposed to encourage artists to answer President Obama's call to public service, and representatives from the White House and the government-funded National Endowment for the Arts were said to be only participants in the call, not organizers. But an investigation by BigHollywood.com reveals a far different story. Now, according to emails that they recovered, Yossi Sargent, the NEA's communication director, actually sent out invitations for the call. Now, Sargent had denied any such involvement to the Washington Times, and as a result, he has since resigned from his post at the NEA. Now, audio of the call also clearly shows this wasn't simply a meeting to promote volunteerism. It was, in fact, a meeting to promote the president's agenda, namely, specifically, health care reform.
I would encourage you to pick something, whether it's health care, education, the environment. You know, there's four key areas that the corporation has identified as the areas of service. And then my ask would be to apply your artistic creative communities, utilities, and bring them to the table.
But it doesn't end there. Newly uncovered audio of Skolnick reveals that he was asked by the White House to organize the entire thing. Let's listen to this.
I've been asked by folks in the White House and folks in the NEA about a month ago, a conversation that was had. We had the idea that I would help bring together the artist community, the independent artist community around the country.
And joining me now to talk about the serious misuse of power by the administration is artist Patrick Courrielche, who recorded that conference call, and the publisher of BigGovernment.com, Andrew Breitbart, is back with us. Andrew, it's been a busy news time for you. Thanks for being with us. All right, Patrick, let me go through this, because there's some real serious charges ultimately involved in this, and I want to make sure we got this right. So this email is sent out. It's sent out to artists. Who is it sent by?
Mine was sent by Yossi Sargent, the former communications director at the NEA.
Okay. Now, so this is sent out, and we have gone back. There's, how many groups involved on the conference call, approximately?
Involved in the organization of the conference call is the White House.
Yes.
Yeah, the White House Office of Public Engagement, the National Endowment for the Arts, the United We Serve, which is the initiative for volunteerism, and Michael Skolnick.
And on the artist side, how many groups were involved in this?
There was approximately 75 to 80 or so artists of various.
Of those, go ahead, Andrew.
In that conference, in that conference call, I believe there were 21 representatives of different groups, and 16 of those had received NEA grants, upwards of $2 million. So these were grantees from the NEA and potential grantees who were in the call, and it was stated at the very beginning of the call by Buffy
Wicks.
By Buffy Wicks from the Office of Public Engagement, where she stated that we worked on the campaign together and we won, and now we need to work towards furthering the president's agenda, Andrew, and his initiatives.
This is my point, because if these groups, now what I had read is that the groups, the majority of them on the conference call, the artist groups together, the 21 that you mentioned, that within 150 days prior, they had gotten grants and grant money. So in other words, they got grant money, and then, correct, I want to make sure that fact is right.
Absolutely.
All right, and so
American for the Arts was on that. American for the Arts was on the phone call, and they are a grantee from the NEA.
All right. So then the question is, and then they're being asked 150 days later, or some short time later, to help the White House advance its agenda. So then that raises questions about lobbying laws, about conflict of interest, and whether or not they were being paid to, in fact, or paid back, or asked to pay back for the grants that they've received. Is that a legitimate question?
Sean, there is a quid pro quo there. Patrick, in his 4-part expose, there's a 5th part today where we give the whole context of the conference call and that the White House was involved. But days after this conference call occurred, the net result of that conference call, the asks that the White House talked about, started to represent themselves online. And at Rock the Vote, there's a full-scale Help the President's Healthcare Initiative thing. There are multiple people on the phone call who delivered the goods for President Obama in their desire to politicize the NEA and serve.gov.
Let's see if I could simplify this. Chronology. Patrick, I'll throw this to you. The chronology is these groups receive grants. These groups are asked to be on a conference call. These groups are asked, and we have White House members that are on the call. They're asked to help advance Obama's agenda, and then they advance the agenda. Is that the proper chronology in your mind?
Yes, it is. It is either grantees or potential grantees on that phone call. I mean, that's what the National Endowment for the Arts does. They provide grants. They're the largest funder of the arts in the United States.
All right, this is
so they're.
Yeah, I'm not trying to cut you short, but this is my last question. What conflict of interest laws, what lobbying laws do you see that may have been violated here, and what's your conclusion based on the result that they got what they wanted, the White House being that these groups to help them?
Well, neither of us is a lawyer, but many people who have written about this say that the Anti-Lobbying Act and the Hatch Act are potential laws that have been broken. But the conflict of interest is obvious. If Bush did this and tried to create art for the Surge or for the Patriot Act, Greenwich Village would have round-the-clock protests this evening.
Yeah, Patrick, last word.
I couldn't agree with him more. I think if you swapped out pro-Obama and you put in pro-Bush, I think that this would be a really big story on all of Media Light's front pages.
Yeah, Andrew, I think you called it quid pro art, which was your phrase, so we'll give you credit for it. But